Hey there. How's everybody doing? This is my third video of the channel. Very excited about it. And I wanted to continue my bio because I haven't finished that yet. And the last we left off was that, I was a psychic child and I wanted to learn more about my gifts when I was in my 20s. And I credit a lot of this to my mother, who was also very gifted and very interested, but a little scared to move forward. And but I always had her support. So I think I had mentioned I had found a spiritualist church and eventually developed my gifts and helped out on the psychic fair fundraisers every month that helped us pay our rent. And then that was sort of, spin off to my my own private career. And so I had a private practice in my house. I had an enclosed porch, which was a phenomenal space, actually, for especially for a start. And so I did that for a couple of years, and unfortunately I got divorced. And well, depending on how you look at it, I think it was very fortunate. And it led me to some wonderful things that I could not have done in that environment. So that said, I moved on and I started doing phone readings because I moved to Virginia. And at that point, I didn't have a practice down there, and I had given up my my career in the dental field. And people in New Jersey were calling me, like, could you do a reading? And I'm like, I don't think so. But eventually the rent needed to be paid. So I got on that and really pushed hard, and I realized I could do that. So I offered phone and video, but in person has always been my go-to. There's a lot more energy in it. And I also did email readings, which is not mediumship, so I wouldn't contact those on the other side, but email readings that were intuitive, that I could answer a couple of questions having to do with your life and situations, and you need outcomes and things like that. I still offer those today. My website is francinemilano.com. Eventually, when I did get the cancer, though, and I was lower on energy, I decided to stop the phone readings and the Zoom and Skype and all that. And I only offer full sessions now in person in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and surrounding areas, obviously. But I have an office there. It's a shared office, so it's very affordable for me because my schedule is kind of limited. So it has to offset, at least I have to make a profit, right? I can't just spend all of everything I make into the rent, So I started to thrive at that point, really thrive in Virginia. And when I came up to Pennsylvania, I decided I wanted to do that full time again. Because when I went down to Virginia, I also had to take a part-time job at a dental office because I had to do what I knew, and what I knew would pay the rent as well, but it was a little tight, and I only wanted to do part-time so I could do more readings. So then I moved back to Pennsylvania, and I moved to Gettysburg, and I opened my first shop, and it was called the Metaphysical Center of Gettysburg, and it was right on Baltimore Street, which is like a main drag. And I gotta tell you, I loved it, but there was some bad mojo there, and it's nothing to do with ghosts or anything like that. I mean, there was a lot of death in Gettysburg, obviously, but unless you're born and raised there, you're kind of an outsider. And there were other mediums, and there were other paranormal groups, and one in particular was a little threatened by me for some reason. And there was just a time when it was just like, I'm over this. And I don't think I could do any more than I've done here. So we were there for 4 years. And from there, moved to Lancaster. And I'll tell you what, I love Lancaster. I mean, it's so different than New Jersey, but I'm close enough to New Jersey now. And I moved to Lancaster for a specific reason. When I was in Gettysburg, I was asked to do radio. And this was in part, well, it was really all because of a client who knew a DJ who introduced me, and I'm very, very grateful to her. And so, trying to get the timing right, I was up in Lancaster every month to do a radio show. And it wasn't like Amish were listening, believe me. I mean, there's a lot of what they call English people here. I mean, it's, even though when we did move here, we had Amish neighbors. I loved it enough that instead of getting up at 4 a.m, I just said, why don't we just move there? And that's how it happened. And been here probably for about 15 years. And then the DJ that I was friends with had moved to a different station. It was all top 40 station where it was a call-in show. And then I moved to another radio station. And then I did some radio via phone. And then I moved to a third radio station. The problem with that is that there was a lot of syndication. And radio, it's not dead, but it's not alive either. No, actually, I would love to do radio now. The problem is with syndication that call-in shows are very rare at this point because there's just a lot of technology. And actually, my DJ friend Liz, who, we see each other once in a while for lunch and things like that. She and her coworker have a morning show, and they syndicated all over the country. I don't know how many stations they're on, but ordinarily during the commercial, she would edit my question and things like that. And now, when there's a commercial break in Lancaster, she's on the air at a different location. And so it's crazy. I don't even know how she keeps up with all of those stations, but there's certainly no room or time for me, which is fine. I mean, I knew it had to come to an end at some point, but it was so good for my career to be able to do radio, led me to other medias, other stations. I even did a gig for ESPN, believe it or not, for a haunted athlete who passed away. I mean, I know that was kind of a Halloween gimmicky thing, but it brought me clients. It was fun. I would still love to be doing that today, but our soul comes to experience one thing and then it needs to experience something else. So I had found a like-minded church here, Metaphysical church, not necessarily spiritualist, but there are a lot of mediums there, and they're a wonderful church. And I got involved with them for a little bit, but I wanted to go in another direction. I wanted to be a little bit more traditional in spiritualism. So I opened my own church, and that was in Lancaster County, but I kept it a little low key. And what I mean by that is that it was a multi-denominational church, and it was. A lot of people might have assumed it was a multi-faith Christian church, or non-denominational. I like multi-faith better because it means you include everyone. Non-denominational is basically you include no one, and that never made sense to me, but that's the first church that I served. And if I didn't mention this, I was also ordained in the first church that I served. So I wouldn't have opened a church, by the way, if I wasn't a minister. And I've married a few people, and that's part my soul just yearned for. But it's not a religion as far as the way people think of religion. So the multi-faith really pulled in a lot of statuary and symbols for our church, which included Jesus and the Jewish star and Buddha and all kinds of religions. I mean, Hindu. We had Kuan Yin. We had all kinds of statuary and symbols on the altar and in a bookcase, and I just loved that energy. And I think a lot of people did. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of spiritualists here, and there was not a lot of, it's not enough. And I know I didn't draw from the other church that I was attending. I mean, they would come and visit, and I would have guest ministers from there come and speak, but it became very draining on me because without a lot of people, I was doing a lot of extra readings just to help pay the rent. So I basically, I mean, we had a nonprofit status, but I basically rented space from the church and helped them pay the rent. In the end, though, I don't know. I blame myself for poor leadership, but that's fine. It happens. And I also feel like things happen for a reason. I mean, people today say, I really miss that place. You should start it again. And I was like, no. That had its place in time. And if you look at the different eras in your life, everything happened for a reason. You walk away with those particular lessons and you move on. That's what this life is for. And it's sort of a bardo, I mean, it's just one experience. It's a chapter of a book. And I'm on a brand new chapter, and that includes cancer. And some chapters I have no control over. And as a result, I don't do as many readings, obviously. But I'm grateful to be still energetic enough to do it. And what's interesting is that I don't think that the cancer or being sick actually affects my messages. And I thought that would, because I have a lot of sick days. And I mean, even though I'm not actively dying, I am dying. I was I've said to a lot of people, I'll just keep reading until I can't speak anymore. And even then I'll just do my email readings. So I guess that once you have that gift, it keeps giving. And I'm just really grateful for that too, because that is my life passion. So I had started a YouTube channel about my life passion just less than 6 months before I was diagnosed. And that's when I took the channel in a new direction for my cancer journey. But I realized that I'm going to be here for a while because my cancer is slow growing and I've got time, I hope. So I thought, well, I'll just do both. That'll be great. Now I've got to keep up with it, right? So that brings us to present day. And what I wanted to share with you, I would like to share the things I learned along the way. I know a lot of you are very interested, and I'm not trying to make a whole bunch of mediums here, but I think intuition in your life is very important. It's about staying in touch with your body, and it's part of the body that we don't even realize. I think in the next video, we'll talk about energy work. Some of it is not, I should call it helpful or hype. So what I post may not be what you think. But along the way, I picked up a lot of things. I mean, I learned how to read cards. I had a partner that cleared haunted homes with me. And I'll talk about those things as well. I dabbled in astrology, and I have a working knowledge of numerology, and I became a Reiki practitioner. and studied universal healing. And let's see, I taught workshops. I taught so many workshops on these topics that I don't think I'm going to run out of content here. I just don't want to run out of energy. So I am actually getting ready to go downstairs. I'm in my bedroom right now, and my mother-in-law is visiting. And I didn't get to do this morning because I had meds that were called into the wrong pharmacy, and it was a big cluster, and it took my entire morning up. So that's the way that goes. Anyway, I'm going to go down. She's helping Neon, my stepchild, build a Lego. It's the cat. And I wanted to give them some space and grab some space on my own. So yeah, that's it. I've only done a video once, I think, in my bedroom. Those walls look great, but they're purple. So before I go, I am going to Tracy's this evening to do another session with her. I don't think I'm going to vlog that one, but she is studying a little bit of energy work, so I might report back with what her opinion is. And we'll talk about how we move energy. And you will see that I work with energy. I have to work with energy. You work with energy whether you're doing divination. You work with energy whether you're doing healing work. You do it with mediumship and psychic work. So energy is key. I'll talk to you again very soon. But until then, I want you to have a great day. And love to you all. Bye.